Hey guys, Paul Wilson here. Oh, let me switch to webcam view. That's a little bit better. Welcome to another online learning live, as we're calling it these days, or e-learning live stream. Whatever you prefer to call it, I'm okay with that. Today we're going to talk a little bit about getting ready for the Adobe Captivate Specialist certification. So, one of the things that many of you might be aware of is that the Adobe Captivate Specialist certification is kind of on full force right now. Previously, this was something that was really only available to people in attendance of the Adobe eLearning conference in Washington, D.C., as well as the Learning Summit in Las Vegas. But of course, now we've got the Captivate Specialist certification extended to a lot of other cities. So if Las Vegas and Washington are not convenient for you, there's of course other sessions as well. Now, I should point out that today is the first one. Today in San Francisco at the Adobe office, they're conducting the first session. So I'm sorry to say that if you were scheduled to go to that, you're late, or you should be on your way there at the very least. I'm not sure what time the starting time is for that, but obviously today's session isn't for you. But, we've got Austin on May the 8th. We've got Houston on May 10th. We also have Phoenix on May 13th, Charleston on May 15th, Orlando on May 17th. And that's just the immediate sessions there. So, you definitely want to make sure that you're registered well ahead of time, because a lot of this is going to be the pre-work that you do beforehand. But I'll get into the specifics. For the rest of the year, and of course, I have no direct knowledge of what other sessions might be coming up other than what's here. I do have a little bit of inside information because obviously I am one of the instructors who's been doing these sessions in recent months and year. Las Vegas in October 2nd. In all likelihood, I believe I will be there. I can't guarantee it for sure because nothing's finalized at this point, but I suspect that I'll be invited to be one of the facilitators there. Seattle on October 7th. New York City on October 9th. Chicago October 10th. Washington, D.C. September 9th. And Toronto in my backyard on September 11th. And I can confirm that while we haven't finalized the details yet, I have been invited to conduct that session, or at least one of more, like perhaps there are more than one sessions, but I will be doing one session at least in Toronto, and there might be others depending, of course, on how many people are looking to get involved. So, back to me for a second here. So if you happen to be signed up for this, I'm hoping that I can share some insider tips with you today. Obviously, if you have questions that you don't feel you've got an adequate answer for going into the workshop, by all means, use the chat function, of course, to the, is it this way? This way. I'm on the other side of the YouTube screen, so I think it's over here. But you can go ahead and type your questions that you might have, and I'll do my best to try and answer those this week. So I see that Alexa has joined us, Wayne has joined us, and Todd have joined us. Thanks for joining, guys. Good morning to all of you. Alexa's saying that 7 a.m. is the start time for her session, so that's good to know. Alexa, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, will be at the Orlando session. She can confirm that. So it looks like, yeah, I believe you're at Orlando, right, Alexa? She can confirm or deny that, whatever the case may be. Yes. Okay. Well, you're gonna have Anita Horsley is at least one of the session leaders or workshop leaders that will be there. I don't know if you'll be in Anita's session or if there are more than one sessions. It could very well be that, there's Pooja Jaising as well. I'm not sure. It's a lot of travel for one person to do, so I think they've split up the responsibilities. And again, it makes sense to choose the areas that are close to the facilitators. So, like, it makes sense for me to be responsible for doing a session in Toronto. Anita Horsley is from South Carolina, and so it makes sense for her to do Charleston, and I believe she's also doing Orlando. Originally, Pooja was doing Orlando, but I think they moved things around because of conflicting schedules and things like that. She might be there, she might not. I'm not sure, but we'll see. So, first thing you need to know, I think the most important thing, there's a lot of questions about this. There's a lot of controversy sometimes. There's a lot of people that would love this to be strictly online. And so let me first get out of the way why this is a combination, a blended learning approach, if you will. It's a combination of things. So part of the certification is done online. It's done using Adobe Captivate Prime. So you'll be logging into Adobe Captivate Prime, which is very easy to use. You'll get your credentials and your login ID and so on a few weeks before the actual physical workshop, the location that you're scheduled to attend. And it's really important. If there's one thing that I can emphasize here in this session today, the pre-work is, I don't know, I want to say maybe 90% of where this is going to be. And I'll give you a couple reasons why. The pre-work, of course, is online. It's on your schedule. So, if you work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, you can do it in the evenings. You can do it in the early morning. You can do whatever you wish. You can do it on your lunch break. But it's really important that you go through the material. It's approximately 7 hours plus of videos to watch. But don't just sit back and passively watch the videos. Along with those videos are exercise files for you to download. You need to download those and walk yourself through that material. You're going to learn more doing this at your own time, right? Because if you've got, let's say, 2 weeks prior to your scheduled workshop to work on this, you can put in 10 hours a day, every day, between, when you get up in the morning and when you get up at night, if you feel that's what's necessary for you. Whereas the workshop itself is about 6 hours of classroom time. And because the typical group size of an Adobe Captivate Specialist certification is anywhere from 40 to 80 or 90 people in a single classroom, we don't have time to stop and allow you to go at your own pace, to ask, very extensive questions that go into great detail. Quick questions here and there, no problem. But, I know from my own experience being a facilitator that there's a lot of material that needs to be covered in a very short amount of time. So it's really important for you as a participant to make sure you get as much from this session prior to arrival. Make sure that you've gone through and done all the exercises and have a solid understanding of this. And then the workshop actually will be a lot of fun. You'll get to try things out. You'll get the opportunity to call over an Adobe engineer or an employee who can answer questions for you. You certainly get an opportunity to network with other like-minded or similar career-oriented folks like yourself. And, breakfast and lunch, I believe, are included in all of these as well. So that's hugely important to get the pre-work done. It's literally being a facilitator who has stood at the front of the classroom while people have completed their assessment. I can see by the looks on their faces how well they did. And generally, right up front, I like to ask, okay, how many people completed the pre-work? And the ones who did not, they decided that it wasn't as important to them, or maybe they were sent here by their manager or their boss, and they didn't take the time or didn't take it seriously. They're the ones with the very disappointed faces when they walk out of that assessment. So trust me when I tell you that make sure your pre-work is done. I'm actually going to put out a video on Wednesday, but it might be worth, you know what, I'll let me just go to my YouTube channel here, and I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek as to what this video is. You can watch it at your own time. It may or may not be important to you, but let me share it with you anyway. So if you haven't already downloaded a copy of Adobe Captivate 2019, this is a requirement to participate in this. You really are going to need it installed on your laptop, the very same laptop that you will be bringing to the session, because of course there's going to be obviously the pre-work, you need to have it, but it's important for the workshop itself as well. So here's a link I just put in the chat there. This is a video that's scheduled to go live on Wednesday, so you're welcome to access that and watch that in case you want to practice that. But it's worthwhile doing it this way because, of course, I hear a lot of complaints from the Adobe eLearning community and the forums with regards to trouble downloading Adobe Captivate and all the optional pieces that you have here. Let's pause for a moment, just take a look at the chat here. Let's see here. So Jason from Dayton, Ohio has joined us. Brett has joined us. Brett's all right in my books because his avatar is David Bowie, so that's an automatic leg up there. Brett's asking, why did they wait until a month before the workshop to grant access to the pre-study material? I honestly don't know, Brett. If you've registered, I thought it was only 2 weeks myself personally. Maybe it's to equalize everybody and make sure that everyone's on the same page and getting the same opportunity. But I'm a big believer in accessibility. One of my very first e-learning courses that I designed was on accessibility. So accessibility, not just in e-learning, of course, is important, but my feeling is that accessibility is for everybody. Everybody learns at different rates, whether you have a disability or not. Some of us need more time to do things, and quite frankly, designing e-learning is not one of those things that you should be compensated differently for if you're capable of doing it faster or slower. I wish as soon as you register, it'd be great if you had access to that pre-study material. But that's me. I can't, again, I'm just here to try and give you guys some hints and tips. That's certainly feedback that you could provide Adobe, given the chance. So that video I shared with you, by the way, that's just me. I literally recorded the process of me downloading Adobe Captivate. I actually go to another site to download my stuff. It's called Pro Design Tools. I don't really know who's behind Adobe, a Pro Design Tools website. I suspect it is actually Adobe behind it, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But they have all the links and the ability to download whatever software you need. And I like it because it allows you to bypass filling out the form to do a trial for any software. So That's helpful. And of course, with the trial software with Adobe Captivate, you have 30 days. So if your session for the Adobe Captivate Specialist is not for another 45 days, now is probably not the time to download Captivate, because you don't want it to expire a week before you're supposed to attend the session. So make sure that you download it, with the timing in mind. So, if you're 2 or 3 weeks away, now's a good time to download it. Don't download it too early. Incidentally, I have articles on the eLearning community site that is, that explains how you can extend that trial for a bit longer time. So in fact, you'll see articles, Adobe Captivate, why pay for it at all, is one of the more popular one of the more popular articles I've written about using Adobe Captivate. But check that out. That's again, you can follow the directions yourself here. So let's just I'll share a link with you that I use in the video as well, that this might be helpful for you as well. So you can follow that link. Hopefully it works. I think I'm signed in as the admin, so I know you can't always pop in links in chat windows, but that should work for you. So Brett's saying that he's registered for Vegas. Like I said, Brett, I suspect, I can't confirm 100% at this point, but I'll probably be one of the facilitators for the Vegas session. The Vegas session is going to be at the Mirage. I'm looking forward to that. The interesting thing about Vegas is that, you can kind of turn it into a little mini vacation as well, which is what I like to do as well. Get a couple days off from work, and also enjoy learning about the new features and what's exciting about Adobe Captivate this week. Let's see what else we got here. ITI Dude, Columbus, Ohio, hello. Luke from UK, hey Paul. Jason Kramer is responding to ITI Dude, a fellow Buckeye. So links are working so far, so that's good here. And of course, one of the things that's going to happen a few weeks before your scheduled session is you're going to receive an email with the instructions to access the pre-work material. So it's really important that if, let's say 2 weeks prior and you haven't seen that email, check your junk mail folder. Follow up with Adobe if you have any problems. In fact, on this page that I brought up in the first place here, if you are having any difficulties, I believe there is an email address where you can, it's captivatespecialist@adobe.com, and you can email them ahead of time if you have any. And I'll just pop that in the chat as well. You can email them ahead of time if you're not getting what you need, or if you didn't receive the appropriate email. But it's really important that you begin those modules ahead of time and download the exercise files and begin, of course, that pre-work. And like I said, you literally have as much time during the 2 weeks prior to work on this, whereas the classroom workshop is limited to 6 hours. So typically, you'll arrive at, let's say, 7 o'clock in the morning, and then once breakfast and registration are done, they will start your session an hour later, and it'll go probably for an hour and a half before a break is taken. First break will be like a little coffee station set up, usually 15 minutes, and then you're right back at it again for another hour and a half before lunchtime, which will then, of course, follow the same format in the afternoon. Then once all of the training is done, if you're fortunate, and again, there's so much material to cover, you know, the instructions. So Nori is asking something here that's interesting. I never thought about this. Does the pre-work need to be done on the same laptop we bring to the session? Um, uh, I don't think so. The pre-work is more for your knowledge. So you're going to watch those videos that of Pooja Jasing. You're going to download those exercise files. Um, my experience is that the first time I did this, I was working from the same set of exercise files. However, they revamped the course a little bit for this spring when I conducted it in Washington, D.C., and the exercise files that were provided for the actual workshop itself were different, and you'll get an opportunity to download those. It probably makes sense to, you know, if you're given the opportunity to download the workshop files before the session starts. That way you're not, you know, scrambling around when you should be paying attention to download, get on Wi-Fi and then download the files necessary. You know, obviously with these sorts of things, you know, the Wi-Fi situation, the power situation is a little bit outside of Adobe's control. Like obviously when they do these contracts with these hotels and you know, training room sites and things like that, they're going to have certain requirements, but sometimes when you get there, you're confronted with surprises. As any instructor-led training person can tell you, I've been in that situation before, where you know, you get into a situation where you know, this like literally a half hour before your first session, you know, this is where the first time you're seeing the room. So I would say I would agree with Alexa to a certain point. When I run this session, I spend maybe 20 minutes on, no, I wouldn't say a sales pitch, but the first, say, 20 minutes of the training is a high-level overview of what Adobe Captivate is, what it's capable of doing. And we focus obviously on what the new features are, because there are some users that are in attendance of this who, let's say back in the workplace, they are using Adobe Captivate 8, for example, and their company hasn't upgraded yet to to Captivate 2019. So what we do is emphasize, okay, but from earlier versions, here is specifically what's new. Things like virtual reality 360 training, interactive video, improvements on fluid box responsive design, and things like that. So, but I don't want to spend, as a facilitator, you know, I don't work for Adobe. I work for myself as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I think, Nori, to answer your questions, you certainly can download the pre-work files onto two machines. I certainly have done that. There's been two laptops in my experience doing this, so yeah, I don't think that's going to be a problem. You may, in fact, want to download the pre-work files into something like a OneDrive account or a Google Drive account so you can access them from anywhere. So hopefully that helps you out. But to me, my goal might be different than Adobe's goal. Adobe's goal is obviously to sell more copies of Adobe Captivate and to have more people using Adobe Captivate, which is why they probably offer the certification in the first place. My goal is for you to be successful. So I'm going to try to focus on what I think you need to learn to be successful Adobe Captivate designer developers, whatever you want to call us or ourselves. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on things that you know, are going to necessarily just be promotional. I want to focus on the where the rubber meets the road and the features and how to use the features so that you can start building online training as quickly as possible. And obviously pass the evaluation at the end of the day. So that's hugely important as well. So what else did I want to cover here? So just so you're aware, I'll share actually this is something that a lot of people had questions about as well, is that there was, and I'll just share my desktop with you here. I wrote this article a while back because I was seeing a lot of people with questions, and let me just zoom in a little bit here so you can clearly see what this article is all about. So there were a lot of questions about, okay, well, once I'm done, what do I get? How do I prove to someone that I've got this certification? And the certification is managed by a website called credly.com, which is a play, of course, on Credential. So that's a useful thing to know. You'll be able to share that with, of course, your manager or potential hiring manager for someone you might be applying for a job with. This is a screen capture of one of the participants who was in my session. This is a screen capture from their LinkedIn account. So I've just blocked out some of the elements that are private, of course, but this person now has listed on their LinkedIn profile that they are Adobe Captivate specialist. It's got the issuing date, and of course there's no expiration date for this credential. Once you have it for life. You can click on See Credential, and your L&D manager, or again potential hiring manager, wants to verify that this is in fact true, because obviously anyone with Snagit and a little bit of Photoshop skills could build something like this on your LinkedIn profile. But you can verify by clicking on that, and that's going to bring you to this page. And to emphasize the Photoshop skills, I took that person's Credly page and opened it up in Photoshop and modified it to look appropriate, as if I was the one who received the credit. But again, this is something that you can verify as legit. So it's going to give you all the details about this, when the issue date was. And then you can go a step further and click this verify button here, and that actually takes you over to this site, and you'll see a little pop-up appear, and as it's scanning the data associated with your LinkedIn profile, check marks will appear. And I guess in theory, if you were a bad Adobe Captivate specialist, for some reason maybe your badge was revoked or whatever, or obviously in this case the badge never expires. But that's the important part about this. Now you might be thinking to yourself, okay, how am I assessed on this ability? And that's a real challenge, of course, with with training of this nature, right? You've got, let's say, 50 to 100 people. I don't have time to assess you in your ability to build an Adobe Captivate e-learning project. But instead, in this case here, we'll have to assess you based on your knowledge. So it is a knowledge-based assessment. It's 1 hour long. So when you start is when you start, and 1 hour later you will be finished at that point. The assessment is 40 questions. And if you're at all familiar with Adobe Captivate, this is a quiz or an assessment that's set up very much like a submit all type situation. So you can move throughout the quiz. You can start on question 1, immediately jump to question 40 if you wish. You'd have to click next a whole bunch of times. But, typically when you're given these sorts of assessments, it's best to go through as quickly as possible and answer as many questions that you're sure of, so that in the event that you run out of time and there's missing answers, of course, you'll still have answered everything that you know 100% well. So once you are satisfied that you've answered all 40 questions and to the best of your ability, you can submit that. And whether it takes you 10 minutes to do this assessment or the full hour, is entirely up to you. 70% is the passing grade. I don't believe that's changed, but that was the situation back in March. So unless they've rewritten the exam, I don't think they've changed that number. And obviously, if you're successful and you're completing it before everyone else, be happy and be pleasantly, be pleased with yourself and your ability. Try not to make too much of a ruckus, remembering, of course, that there are other people in your classroom that are still completing that, but take it outside and celebrate there. There's certainly, I've seen all range of emotions. People, especially when the situation comes up where people are paying for this themselves. They've decided that this is my career path. I want to be an Adobe Captivate developer. And so, if you're going to one of the standalone sessions in one of the cities, it's $800. So it's not a little bit of money. It's a lot of money. So obviously take the time, like I said, to do the pre-work, pay attention in class, follow along in class, try everything that the instructor is showing you. The stuff in class is predominantly what the quiz is about. So the assessment at the end of the day is based on the review items. And again, the workshop itself should be mostly review for anyone who's completed the pre-work to completion. And the items being reviewed are the items that you're going to be evaluated on the assessment. So again, just to summarize, it's 1 hour for the assessment, 40 questions, 70% to pass. Your certification never expires. You'll get a lovely plaque with your name on it, but more importantly, you'll have a certification credential that you can put right on your LinkedIn profile, which is probably the best place to put it. And that way, if you are pursuing a career as an Adobe Captivate designer, developer, whatever it might be, you've got the credential to back you up. So any questions, by all means, go ahead and fire them away. And don't forget, one last thing I failed to mention, of course, that assessment is open book. So I'm going to share something else with you. And again, this is a real helpful link. And while I don't think that this is necessarily the best documentation on Adobe, this is something that, because the assessment is open book, it means you can access this document while you're writing the assessment. So check this out. Just follow that link. I'll follow it myself as well and show it to you here. This is the PDF version from Adobe's website on the Adobe Captivate help documents. If you thought this video was useful, please share it with your colleagues. Sorry, I clicked the wrong thing there. This is what I meant to click. So here is basically, it's like the owner's manual that should come with Adobe Captivate, but doesn't. So, if you were writing your assessment on Adobe Captivate and you wanted to, there was a question about advanced actions and you weren't sure of it, you could click on this right here in the table of contents and go down to advanced actions, and maybe the question had something to do with conditional actions. And, here are some examples and how to convert a standard advanced action, standard actions, to a conditional action. Well, there's the answer right there. You select that conditional tab check mark. in the advanced action window. So there's an example of how you can do this open book, and certainly for those that are maybe not super familiar with the stuff that I do, in the days and, well, weeks, but only two weeks leading up to this, I have a ton of content. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. There are live broadcasts where I talk about various things, but if you're looking for a particular tutorial, there is tons here. It's now in excess of 500 something. There's 500 some odd tutorials at this point of various lengths. Some are 5 minutes, some are 10 minutes, some are 20 minutes. Some are this live stream, an hour and a half, an hour or an hour and a half, depending on which one it is. But, if you want to learn about a lot of features, then ideally I'd love to take everyone through what you're going to learn right now. But of course, this is only a 1 hour, 1.5 hour live stream. So, obviously I can't cover everything for you, but there's tons of videos. You're certainly welcome. Maybe with headphones, even during your exam, you could actually watch a video if you wanted my tutorial while you're writing the assessment. Just don't disturb others, of course. But, totally is an open book assessment. So, that's, I feel quite strongly about that. I think an effective e-learning designer developer isn't someone who has everything memorized, In fact, when I facilitated this the first time, I went through the same learning material that all of you will go through. And there was not a lot, but there was a couple things that I had not known before. I'm watching these tutorials from Pooja, and she covered something, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. That was surprising to me. And I don't remember what it was. I think it had something to do with gradients. In fact, now that I think about it, I think this is what it was. Let me share my desktop with you, and I'll just show you something. Let's say, for example, you have a smart shape on your desktop here, and the fill style, you're going to choose a custom gradient, and let's go in here. You can add additional points to your gradient and change the colors and come up with something entirely bizarre and different. And what I didn't know is that you can grab these and drag them off to get rid of them. Let's say I didn't want that orange in there, or I don't want that green in there. I can drag it just off away, and it goes away. I didn't know that. 14 years of Adobe Captivate, I didn't know that. So again, you're never too experienced to learn something new, I guess. That's an interesting combination of colors, eh? Wow. It's kind of Caribbean. Yeah, so it's don't be afraid to explore and learn as much as you can outside of the curriculum as well, because you never know what might be on that assessment. But the trick with these sorts of courses is that they're primarily designed with the new Adobe Captivate user in mind. So in many cases, if you have been using Adobe Captivate for a while and you simply want to gain the certification, there's nothing wrong with taking this. I know that certain people online have tried to pigeonhole the person that should be using this. It is generally, I would say, it's for new Adobe Captivate users. But it doesn't mean that, if you were, let's say, using Adobe Captivate for a couple of years and you just wanted to formalize your credential as a Captivate designer developer, this would be a great way to do it. In fact, you would probably be very successful because much of that assessment you'd probably already know. And maybe the workshop might be a little boring for you, but at the end, you pass that assessment with flying colors, and you have the credential you can now put on your CV or on your LinkedIn profile, and be able to be successful with it. Jason, looks like you've got a very specific question here. What is the purpose of the 2 additional untitled in the conditional advanced action? You'll learn that in the session, but I don't mind going over it with you. The idea here is that when I'm building an advanced action, let's just get rid of this here, and we'll go into advanced actions here. So you have these tabs across the top here. These are what are called decisions. So every advanced action can contain multiple decisions. For example, you might want to run more than something that's here. Like, so for example, maybe you have a conditional action where you're testing a condition and then running a series of things that are only going to run if this condition is met. But you could have another decision where all of this stuff runs regardless. So the benefit of having multiple decisions is that you can have a whole series of conditional actions or standard actions run. And of course, it's always left to right, from top to bottom. So it's almost like having, if you're to think of programming terminology, it's like having different subroutines within a computer program. So you can create different decisions where you're checking, let's say you need multiple conditional statements or conditional checks. You can have multiples going across and have all of these be conditional tabs. So you can write quite an advanced script for your advanced actions. So it's pretty sophisticated. I think people don't realize how sophisticated advanced actions actually can be. Brett's saying, I've been to many user conferences and gatherings for various software packages over my career. They're always useful, I've found, no matter my experience level. So yeah, I would agree here with that approach. Let's bring up the chat so everyone can see Brett's comment there. So, I've been coming to the Adobe eLearning conferences and learning summits in Las Vegas, eLearning in Washington for, I think this was just the one past was my 7th Adobe live event. And up until very recently, it was just conferences, like where you would start off in a group session and then you would break out into these different breakout paths. And you could come to my session where I might teach you the latest in what Adobe Captivate does for responsive design. Or maybe you're going to learn from, Kevin Siegel about the latest features in Captivate. You might go to a session with my friend Damien, who's going to talk about how audio can be used better in Captivate. You might go to Anita's session where she'll cover the latest thing with advanced actions and so on. And you could, totally pick and choose what you wanted to. But again, there was no assessment. There was no proof in the pudding. You didn't go back to your company at the end of the conference and have anything to show for it. So the addition of the Adobe Captivate Specialist certification, and I think their original intent was simply to have something else that people could do to walk away with some credential that they could show their manager back on the job that, hey, I've accomplished this thing, and prove that the conference was a return on investment. And of course, we saw this from the forums that a lot of people had all these suggestions and questions about the certification. Hey, why aren't you doing something like this in my hometown, or why do I have to go to a conference? Why can't I do it online? And all these questions. So I think the program will continue to evolve. I don't have the answers to those sorts of questions because I'm not Adobe. I get asked to participate in these sorts of activities, but the decisions themselves are theirs to make. So, I would continue to ask those questions on the forums. I think someday they may have, have the ability to take the entire program online. There's obviously risk in an online training, as anyone who does this knows. My very early days in this, one of the challenges that we were very aware of at the company that I worked for was that we would put online training. We had retail stores all across the country. And, how do you assess people's knowledge? Well, you give them a test. Well, how do you know that, one person isn't writing the test for all 10 employees in the store? Difficult to prove. So that leads to the one solution that often comes up is sort of having a proctored exam. In other words, someone needs to witness that the person who signed up for the course is the person who in fact is here. So there's a registration process when you arrive on the day of the workshop. You'll get your credentials, probably a little badge on a lanyard. You might get a little pouch of pens and pads of paper and things like that. Swag, as we called it in the industry. And something to show that obviously you have to come in and say, hey, my name is Paul Wilson. I'm here to register for this session. I guess in theory anyone could show up, but how badly do you want to cheat, I guess. But they want to make sure that you're there to write the exam. So you're the person sitting there in the workshop all day long, then you're the one who's going to complete the assessment. If at some point they figure out a way to maybe work with local organizations across the country to deal with the whole proctored exam thing, then you might see that you can do the online stuff on your own time, on your own computer, and then attend a proctored exam somewhere, maybe at the local university or maybe at a local school. And that way, someone can sign you in, they check your ID, you are who you say you are, and you write the exam. And it's certainly possible. So I think, keep asking those questions of Adobe, and hopefully they'll be able to, expand on this program and make it available to more and more people. But so far, I think they've done a really good job. The advantage of the workshop approach, though, is that if you do have questions, that you can get the answers there. Whereas online, not always so easy. Not that you can't do it. It's just, I as an instructor, I'm not available to answer questions to the folks because I'm a working e-learning designer developer like the rest of you. I don't have the ability to answer questions all day long. I try to fill in where I can with the forums and certainly on my own YouTube channel. But they'll figure it out, and hopefully you guys will be successful who are signed up to take it in the next couple of weeks. But for those that are maybe in attendance of the sessions that I do, obviously my goal is not to just promote the products and be an advertisement for them. My goal is to facilitate a class where you walk away with some actual knowledge and skill on how to use this product. So hopefully that's what people take away from the sessions that I run. But, if anyone has any questions, by all means, we'll stick around for a few more minutes. We're almost at the hour mark. But if you've run into any problems or any questions, of course, I can certainly try my best to answer them. If I can't answer them, I can at the very least probably point you in the right direction as to where you can get those answers. So go ahead and fire away. So in the next coming weeks, I've got a few video tutorials coming out. So I encourage everyone to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Don't forget to hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button, because that means that you'll be notified when I start live streams like this, but also notified when I upload new tutorials like the one that will be coming out on Wednesday. I've already shared the link for you. It's in the chat window here, but it'll be going live on Wednesday morning. And is JavaScript covered? No, I don't think it is. Other than to say that this is how you add JavaScript. But obviously this can't be a course about JavaScript in 6 hours. We can't really include that. There is advanced actions covered though. So, if you're like literally, and this is the thing that I think people worry about, because they come to this thing because certain people online are saying, oh, it's just for newbies. If you're a newbie, this is just a newbie course. How can you possibly cover that much information in such a short amount of time? Hey, listen, like I said, I went through this, and as I look at it and think about the content that's in this, there's very little that is not in there. Like, it's a full course, and expect that you're going to be, what's the expression, drinking from a fire hose. There's going to be a lot of stuff thrown at you, and if you take a bathroom break at the wrong moment, you might miss some of it. So, make sure you use the time wisely during those coffee breaks. Don't fill up with too many liquids, because you don't want to miss anything, really. There's a lot of content that's covered. Jason is asking, will the Adobe 2019 tutorials forthcoming be compatible with making it work in Adobe Captivate 2017? Don't think the company is going to upgrade soon. So the topics that you will learn about that are not, like, if your company was still on Captivate 7, I'm not sure you'd get much value out of this. If you're on Captivate 2017, 90% of what Captivate 2017 has is 2019 as well. So, I think it's still of great value to go to this session. I'm just giving examples here, Jason. Like, Captivate 7 is so old. No, you're not going to see value in that. But if you're on Captivate 2017, the differences are minor. You're not going to... now, of course, you should still show up. You should still have Adobe Captivate 2019 installed on your computer, because you're going to want to practice those skills to pass the assessment. This assessment is a certification for Adobe Captivate 2019, not for 2017. However, when you get back, all of those skills will be applicable, minus the new features, with Captivate 2017. There are not so many differences between these two softwares. The predominant things that are different is that there's no interactive video in 2017. There's no webcam on video demo in 2017. There's no virtual reality in 2017. But Fluid Box responsive design is so much the same that, other than a few appearance differences and a couple of improvements to make things easier in 2019, everything you learn in 2019 is applicable to 2017. So hopefully that helps. But again, you don't want to show up with 2017. You want to have 2019 installed, at least as a trial version on your laptop. So either bring your personal laptop or request that your IT department install the trial version on your work laptop, at least temporarily, and hopefully that helps out. But yeah, it's, again, emphasis on it being 2019 certification, not 2017. But, interestingly enough, Jason, when you watch the videos for the pre-work, many of them were done when Captivate 2017 was the latest version. And if there was not enough of a difference between 2017 and 2019, I know that Pooja didn't update the videos. So So that's not going to be that much of a different weight. So there's not a way to get videos to not automatically play until the user clicks on the play button in 2017. Uh-oh, nuts. No, what I mean by interactive video is that in Captivate 2019, they released a way for the user to interact with the video. So you can have overlays over top of videos that users can click on things. But you can certainly have a video play on your slide and have it play automatically. But, it won't be able to have like a knowledge check lay over top of the video at a certain point in your video. That's a new feature for 2019. And there's some other improvements with 2019 as well. But I would strongly encourage your employer to consider upgrading. There's a lot of new features that are out now. But 2019 is also going to get an update this month, something you should be aware of. And there are some improvements to virtual reality that are quite compelling. Also, what else was there coming? Oh, some nice enhancements too, like the ability to click on images and use them as buttons. What else is coming too? There's a bunch of stuff. There's even an improvement with interactive video that allows you to use Vimeo.com videos as well. So that's going to be coming, and that's going to be. I was talking with someone at Adobe this week, and they're equating this to like a full version update, even though it's free for Captivate 2019 users. You're getting, normally when they do an update within, between versions, that it's free, but it's only to fix issues or to slightly improve it. But this is actually going to be an improvement that is new features, new functionality as well. So I would say it's at least a month away, Alexa. I wouldn't say it's going to be anytime soon. When I say soon, I mean next week or the week after. Because I haven't even seen it yet. And I know that based on what I know is that there's going to be a 3-week gap between when people see it in pre-release and when it actually gets launched. So, I think it's going to be into June actually at this point. I'm not sure. I don't have like hard facts. I just have, things I've pieced together from conversations with folks from Adobe. So by no means would I take anything I know to the bank or anything like that. So, but yeah, I would expect that within a month, maybe a month and a half, we'll probably see that, and there'll be some really welcome stuff in there. And obviously some things maybe we haven't even been told yet. So I'm looking forward to seeing the pre-release. I'll, of course, have, if you want a reason to subscribe to my YouTube channel and you don't already, I can promise you that when that release comes out, I'll have a series of videos covering the new features so that you can get tutorials on what's actually coming, what's new, and so forth. So, guys, thanks as always. It's been a great pleasure to share my knowledge and my experience with you guys. Hopefully you found today useful. Again, as always, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, if you want to get sort of an insider's approach towards what I share, of course, there is my Patreon channel, patreon.com/Paul Wilson Learning. And you can help support what I do by showing your appreciation there and get some insider stuff too. You'll be able to get some free project files that you can download, some free theme files, and depending on the level of contribution, you'll get access to my premium course, which is on fluid box responsive design and custom quiz questions and multi-state objects and advanced actions. In fact, if you sign up for the $10 level on my Patreon channel, you get that course, a $20 value for free. So hopefully that is something that you guys are interested in doing. Again, just patreon.com/Paul Wilson Learning. And of course on YouTube, I'm youtube.com/Paul Wilson Learning as well. And if you need some help, if you need some tutorials outside of what my YouTube channel offers, you can certainly hire me to either help you with your next e-learning project, or you can hire me to also do one-on-one tutorials where I do a little bit of one-on-one instruction and train people and help them out. You can check out that at captivateteacher.com. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Bye for now. If you thought this video was useful, please share it with your colleagues. If you need help with your next e-learning project, consider hiring me. My focus is to create effective e-learning that helps you achieve your business goals. Visit my website at captivateteacher.com, follow me on Twitter at captivateteacher, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel.